Welcome to the very first episode of the Liminal Minds podcast. This is a podcast about mental health, neurodiversity, and the messy in between, the liminal spaces where we fight stigma and understanding grows. So today is our very first episode, and today's episode is about something that covers mental health, something that maybe people have come across, people have spoken about, some people have lived this thing. And I'm glad to welcome our very first guest. He's going to talk about his own experience with this particular, mental health struggle. And no further ado, welcome Edwin Mukabi. Yeah?
Thank you. Yes, I don't know which name you prefer to use. Maybe we might be using Edwin Mukabi for today, but it's very hard to find me online or anywhere using Edwin Mukabi, so I use the Divine Bandit.
Yeah.
But thank you for welcoming me and for having me here, especially for the first episode. This is the introduction. We'll probably see where this goes. But I'm happy to be here, and I hope to be speaking more about my experiences, and also through me and also through other people that I've gone through.
Yeah, this is actually kismet because this being my first episode, we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
We have recorded something on a podcast type,
Yes.
that's not about mental health, and that never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we get to this journey with you, and I am sure we are going to have you back maybe sometime down the line once we start get deeper into other things. But so today, my theme was around depression. This is something that both you and I have experienced, have been treated for, but kind of for the viewers, tell us what was, how this came about, what led you to, being diagnosed, and how that occurred.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I would say there is a part where my experience with depression would be, it's probably been there for quite a long time. But what we might be discussing today would be when was the time that it became defined.
Yeah.
And then I finally understood what was the actual ailment or whatever you want to call it. Because essentially now in retrospect, I'm able to identify those, key signs from a very young age, but a very different kind of depression than the one that I was going through when I was now diagnosed.
Yeah.
Because when I was diagnosed clinically depressed. And I think it was a very easy diagnosis for the doctors by that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time I was taken to hospital, by the time I went to Mater Hospital, I basically woke up one morning and refused to do anything, switched off my phone, refused to get out of bed, refused to go to work.
Yeah.
So I had clients, people at work looking for me. They had to call my emergency number, what is registered. So everyone at home is like, he's not home.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I was diagnosed. But that one had to do with just, I would say it was more a chemical thing. It wasn't like the way someone would be like, this is something like just a bit about me. This was just something to do with, I was having migraines.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I wear glasses and so on.
Yeah.
So I was having migraines, and so I decided to go to hospital to have this treated.
Yeah.
And so the medicine that I ended up being given, so this was my first time in life having to take medicine that have to do with nervous conditions, nervous disorders. For me, I was not understanding how migraines, I thought I was given a painkiller.
Yeah.
Just thinking you've been given a stronger painkiller because you've been managing these migraines before with your, with your usual painkillers, your usual analgesics and so on.
Yeah.
But now you've gone to hospital, and for the first time, the doctor is giving you something different.
Yeah.
And so the side effects from this medicine, whether they're taking or they're not taking, because these are very serious medicines where the doctor is supposed to be very observant, almost like even meeting you weekly to make sure the way you've been taking, have you missed even one single dosage?
Yeah.
Because
the side effects,
the side effects, it changes everything in, if you don't even if you miss one dosage, if you take a double dosage, if whatever happens, if you take with the wrong thing, for example, if you're not supposed to mix with milk or anything. So these medicines are very different than just your usual painkillers.
Yeah.
And so as a side effect of this, I took this medicine. I was supposed to take for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I took them for about a month or two. and then I went back to hospital. And I went back to hospital because the people who are around me, then some friends, were complaining. So they were seeing something different about the person they had known all these different years.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't see it because I'm waking up and just doing things because things are supposed to be done the same way you've always done them.
Yeah.
But then when I went to hospital, they told me I had to finish the medicine, but then I couldn't. 2 weeks later, I was in hospital. And so I was basically diagnosed. I think it was in like the first 5 minutes, which is something I came to learn after, because the doctor shone a light into my eyes. And it's something that you think it's normal or common, like you're supposed to follow the light.
Yeah. The way
So apparently a
people's
depressed person does not.
I didn't know that.
Stare into space.
Yeah.
And so apparently I didn't follow the light, and that's how I ended up. I was in hospital for about 2 or 3 weeks. So I was admitted. And so that would be my first diagnosis or my first proper encounter with what depression is. But now, years later, as we'll probably be able to discuss, hopefully if we have some time, I was able to now identify other types of things that were going on with my life, or some that were also triggered by these medicines or this type of clinical depression. Because that one, once I took medicine, it was over a long time, like 2-3 years. Once you manage to do the reset, because you were being affected by the medicine you are taking, you kind of go back to normal. So I kind of went back to normal, but then I started identifying the things that I knew since I was like 14 years old. The things I used to wonder, why am I like this? Now I started identifying them and so on.
So it's like the depression was there. It's just that this medication triggered it. And now that moving forward, you've been able to recognize. So would you say the depression is clinical, or is chronic rather, that it is something that you're going to battle with for the rest of your life, whereby maybe you'll have certain moments in your life where you're comfortable, you're good, but it is there, so that maybe, when sometimes when you're having like life stressors and stuff, you have to be conscious of, I need to deal with this stress, I need to deal with these types of emotions, because if I don't, there's something that is lacking underneath. Is it the case? Is it that, or was it just for that particular period? Because one of the things that you and I have spoken about is existential angst.
Yes.
And it is kind of easy for some of those things to, like, it's one of those things that co-occurs together. People who have existential angst, like, it's easy for them to have, a level of depression and vice versa. So is it that there is, is the depression for you chronic, or is it a conversation that you've had with the doctors where they've told you, because right now I assume you're not taking medication, right?
No.
Yeah. So is it something that you have to be conscious of, to avoid the chronic bit of it?
Yeah. So I think what I would say, and that's what I was trying to differentiate, in those 3 or 4 years, the clinical depression that I was talking about, the first time, like, I actually got a diagnosis from hospital, and like I was told, this is what depression is. This is why you're acting the way you're acting. Is some of the symptoms of depression. That was clinical depression that I've mentioned. It was chemical. It was basically caused by the medicine I was taking. If I hadn't taken those medicine, I would never have ended up in hospital. Probably would not even be here discussing, because I would never have learned actually what does depression feel like. So this one, and the same with this one, I wrote about this, of course, on like my blog over periods. I've written about it. During those periods, just before I decided not to wake up, I was winning awards at work. There is nothing that at work had changed. In fact, you almost work more or present yourself more, because you feel like people are noticing when you're not there. So you're actually more available and everything. So if I hadn't woken up that morning and decided I'm not leaving the bed and I'm not going to work, and I switched off my phone, there's nothing else that would have happened. I would just have woken up as usual and gone to work and continued. So that is the chemical I'm talking about. This is something, as I said, was treated and it ended. Okay, it ended. But from the way I was feeling when I had it, I started now realizing there are moments in my life where I had been feeling like this, but I couldn't explain what it was. By that time, it was not being caused by any medicine. It wasn't chemical. It could be chemical, because at the end of the day, depression and all these things are chemical. It's all about our glands and all the hormonal and all those things. But that time it wasn't. When I say chemical, I mean like something chemical was inserted into me that caused a problem. In this case, the medicine. But I realized there was moments in my life, and I was able to identify when was the first time that this moment happened in my life.
Yeah.
And probably when we'll speak longer, I'll probably even be able to read pieces, poems I've written about this.
Yeah, we'd love that.
And so I realized it was around the age of 14.
Yeah.
I had just come back from, I think, Form 1. The first time we closed high school, and I came home, and I'm a lastborn.
Yeah.
So over the years, since like probably I was like in class 5, as the other siblings were going on like to high school, college, and all that.
Yeah.
Growing up in Ushago or Shags, as we call it, you basically get left behind. It's you with the parents and everything. But I'm also like a last born of like 9.
Yes,
so
yes.
You're not even that close in age with your parents.
Yeah.
By that time, like your parents are in like their 50s, their 60s and whatever. And so I was home most of the time alone.
Yeah.
Because, your dad goes off to work. Your mom might have, she's also has work, because at one point when I was growing up, she was still, she hadn't retired.
Yeah.
But if not going to work, she could be going for something, a fellowship, a church thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the time I would be home, especially when we've closed for like a month.
Yeah.
But that was the first time when I was in high school, I closed for a month and I was home. I walked around the entire compound. I walked around the farm. I couldn't find basically anything to do.
Yeah.
And if you grew up in the 90s in Ushago, someone would be like, go watch TV. There is nothing like go watch TV. The TV is running on a battery.
Yeah.
On some car battery, which probably you can't just go and use it, because your dad will be annoyed when he comes and he can't watch the news in the evening and all that stuff. And so that was the first time, and that's what I call it, the existential angst. You call it the existential depression. I started realizing it was around that age at 14 was the first time when I was walking around the homestead. My mind started expanding to things that were not tied down to how I had grown up.
Yeah.
Because, you had grown up, you're in your home, you're told you have to go to school, pass, get married, and then that's it. The moment you give them grandkids, you're sorted. Life is like that.
Yeah,
no one ever tells you about the fact that inside your mind, you don't get your achievements and happiness just from doing what basically everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it does not necessarily need to be.
Your type of self-actualization doesn't have to be exactly what society names as the steps of succeeding and all that.
Yeah.
And so at a very young age, having the capability to look forward, because at around 14, I realized I was looking at 70. I was not looking at 30.
Yeah, no,
So even at a certain age, I've not been someone looking to be 10 years older. I have always wondered what happens, because you can't stop time. The way it's running right now, the way we couldn't get parking, and here we are now trying probably to rush through the fast recording.
Yeah.
But time keeps moving on, which means as long as you'll be here in the next 20 years, you can't avoid being 50, you can't avoid being 60 and all that.
Yeah.
You cannot avoid all the technological advances that are going to happen.
Yeah.
People talk about ChatGPT, the AIs, the things that are happening right now. Smartphones are so kawaii and everything. You talked about how we've tried to do podcasts before, they couldn't happen. But it was very hard. Right now, the space we are in right now.
And this was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yes.
It's
not 6 and 7 years. You see the way you're thinking 6 or 7 years. 2014 was 11 years ago.
It is mad to think about how, even when you are speaking, you realize life is moving on. Like even as we speak. Yeah, I didn't think it was that far back. But
but not to digress. That was where the existential depression. That's what I was talking about.
Angst. Yes. So I've learned so much from it, because like mine is chronic. Like for the viewers, I think I didn't tell them, but I live with ADHD. I was first diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Then in 2018, that's when it was moved to. So like for me, to ADHD, for me, my depression and anxiety is chronic. Like zinakwanga tu hapo zimetulia.
Yes.
They need kastresa tu hivi kidogo. Mokabi nampigia kuja podcast anakosa kuchukua simu. I start spiraling.
Yes.
It is there, the anxiety, like the fear of failure. But I'm glad, like some of the things that I'd wanted to speak about, like the myths and misconceptions.
Yes.
But you've covered them very well.
Yes.
For like one of the things.
Yes, I understand with time. That's why when I'm answering, I'm making sure I cover.
You cover a lot of bases. But so like one of the things is depression is sadness. Like clearly that is not the same. Those are two different things.
It's not.
Because like some of the causes of depression, I think they fall under like sociological, psychological, and I think environment. So for sociological, like let's say, or like let me start with something like psychological.
And biological too.
Oh yeah, biological. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's say for something like biological, things like puberty, menopause,
Yes.
getting
Pituitary
pregnant.
glands.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday I was just reading about the vagus nerve. You see, it's around here, so it's between the diaphragm and the stomach.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to connect why when you have acidity, you get disoriented.
Yeah.
And apparently it's all about that.
Yeah.
So the vagus nerve is between there, and most of the acidity normally builds around the same place. That stressor on just the vagus nerve
is the
via
vagus
stomach
is the
issue.
vagus is in gut? Like, is it the gut or is it something?
I don't even know. I haven't even read that deeply. I just know it's between the diaphragm and the stomach.
Yeah.
And so somehow it connects to, you start getting migraines.
Yeah.
You start getting disoriented.
Yeah.
And it could be something as simple as either you haven't eaten for the day, or you are becoming hypoglycemic because you are on low blood sugar and so on. So yes, biology is quite a lot. And as you've said, environment also comes in. What foods have been available to you, what minerals, what vitamins. There is a lot that constitutes a human being that makes us so different. And that's why mental health is not about just you with a chronic ongoing ADHD or depression.
Yeah.
It's for everyone.
It is it's a living being.
Because at no point is anyone at 100%.
Yeah.
Even the richest people, that's why you will see suicides, all those things. They happen from all sides and all spectrums, from the rich to whatever.
Yeah.
Is because at any point, every single person is experiencing, their mind is going through different mental shifts.
Yeah.
They're not living alone, so they're also experiencing external factors that are causing them to feel the way they feel.
Yeah. So there are multiple things, and one of the things that hopefully we will also get to talk with other guests and probably down the line is exposure to violence.
Yes.
It's a hard time to be a Kenyan,
Yes.
It's been a difficult couple of years, but we'll get back to that. Functionality as a spectrum, as you were saying, like sometimes, you can be able to go to work, function well, and then there, even for the other side, like those days that you couldn't even get out of bed.
Yes.
Those people are still, these same people are still struggling with depression.
Yes.
And it's something that people need to, to recognize. Things like you just need to go outside and walk, take a walk, think positively,
Yeah.
And the fact that it's also invisible, because like, I don't think people recognize, like, I've known you to be a high performer at work, a very good poet. Like, we didn't get enough time to introduce you. The Divine Bandit,
Yes.
But like, even you with all that, because in the pre-pod questionnaire, one of the things that I asked that I didn't know, like you didn't have any myths and misconceptions because you didn't know about mental health.
Yes.
And to put it slightly, like you are in a position of privilege. College educated. You are a writer. You are a poet. So like you are exposed to literature material. But even you didn't know about all this.
Yes, it's interesting. You've mentioned literature material. What were we reading that was examining mental health? I don't even remember ever reading a novel where a character was going through depression, for example.
Yeah.
It used to be on to the next one. The steps were very basic.
Yeah.
There was no examination of how a human character thinks or why they feel the way they feel before they do something.
Yeah.
It was just let them do. And then it was more of action. I think maybe we're just reading action thrillers everywhere.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, I have two things that maybe that we'll want you to address. So for you, through your journey, like having been depressed, what is the one thing that you were able to find out about yourself, and if there's anything that you could tell that version of yourself or someone who's going through depression right now that can be empowering, because I think maybe it can be one of the things that I'd hope to cover will be coping mechanisms, but we're going to do that somewhere down the line, or you can include it in your answer, something like that worked for you, or something that we should have known back then that could be of use to someone going through it.
Yeah, because I know we're out of time, so probably this will be my last answer. So I'll try and encompass everything.
Yeah.
So the things I've learned about myself and the things I've known about myself even as I was growing up. So as I said, from the moment I realized from when I was 14 is when this came up. And also, it's the first time I probably started writing poetry. So it's so weird. Like the first time I went through existential angst or existential depression, it kind of triggered the creative side. So it's when I started writing, and it's also when I came up with the name The Divine Bandit. And people ask what it means. There's different versions I've written about it because, yes, I have different meanings behind it.
Yeah.
Again, as a creative, it's not ever one meaning.
Yeah.
But one of the meanings probably we've never explored, maybe with maybe the public or the people, or even when I'm presenting, maybe it's just close people to me who experience it, is the fact that for me, bandit was the darkness. And then the divine is supposed to be the light, and the everything.
Yeah.
Yes. And even at that age, when I was naming myself, that was the realization that up to that point, I was known to be divine. But there was nowhere you could find even the people I grew up with who would be like, my mom used to complain I couldn't get angry. You know, my brothers could take me through everything. They could steal my food and everything. I had no sense of being able to become angry.
Yeah.
To me, it was too negative an emotion to go through. So I never used to do it. And then from that, around that age, I started identifying those negative emotions they're possible and everything. And that's why they banned it. So it's supposed to be the dark side.
Yeah.
But then from a depression kind of thing, then that's the dark side. And so that's the thing I've learned about myself, that it's possible to go to both sides.
Yeah. To exist in the liminal.
Yes. So knowing yourself is really, really important, because you just come from saying, like, people are told to tell you to take a walk for positivity and everything.
Yeah.
It might seem like a joke, but it kind of works. But to me, does it work as a cure? Does it work as just a way to avoid an avoidance for now? So to me, I see it's more of a way to cope. So it's not a cure, really. It's just saying, for the next 10 years, I will be walking and avoiding my mind going to the rabbit hole. But we know you go into the rabbit hole at different times, in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. So these moments are still going to happen. You might have a week of happiness, and then the next week is a week of darkness. And so knowing why that you are the way you are, and why the things that happen to you happen, I think really helps you to be able to exist in those different spaces at different times. Because once you get to know about mental health, you will know that even the light side, being too much on the light side, sometimes is a symptom of a mental health issue.
Mental health issue. Yeah.
So those will probably be my last words on.
It has been an enlightening conversation. There's so much to unpack there. I think you can also tell people, I think your social media handles are The Divine Bandit.
You just look for The Divine Bandit. If you type The Divine Bandit anywhere, I will turn up. I recently found out my MySpace page still exists, and I was able to log in.
Yes, he's that old. So I think people can get to know a lot from your writing. I think you also have a WhatsApp channel. I think it's around the same thing.
Yes.
Please go and check out Mukabi's writings. There's so much to like. He writes a lot of poetry. Hopefully the next time we'll come with a depression haiku, you know. So thank you very much for joining us. Please check out us on socials, the Liminal Mind on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And yes, like, if you have any questions, comments, or guests that you think that we should host, I think the next couple of weeks, you mentioned about the gut. We'll come and we'll get a nutritionist who's going to explain how mental health and what we eat interact. We're going to get psychologists, more people with lived experience. So yes, check us out. We are the Liminal Mind podcast, where minds color beyond the margins. Thank you.